Hello and welcome back to the Honour Respect and another edition of AEW Dynamite Out of 10, and it's one of the biggest episodes of Dynamite of the year because it is blood and guts. Not just one blood and gut match this year, we've got two, with the women's division having their first one as well. So yeah, a lot going on in this show. As well as that, Hangman Page against Powerhouse Hobbs in a wild Falls Count Anywhere match. But we start things off with the women's blood and guts. Blood flowed early on in this battle, while the two sides looked evenly matched throughout. The heels used their advantage to wear out the baby faces. The Triangle of Madness managed to escape the cage and pull out most of their competition. This left Mina and Storm overwhelmed in the ring. The Timeless One quit to protect Mina. This was an incredible match from start to finish. The pacing over 45 minutes never slacked, helped immensely by a unique arsenal of weapons from each wrestler. Blood and Guts has always been the issue of going too long, but this was exactly as long as it needed to be, with a perfect emotional ending. It's hard to imagine AEW planned for the ending before Mina was inserted into the action, but Storm submitting to protect the love of her life made so much sense and made the heels look great. While everyone had their time, it was a showcase for Shafir once she arrived late. While she's the least competitor, she always looked poised and sold herself as the most dangerous in the ring. The Triangle of Madness, Bane and Shafir especially gained momentum off this win. They stood 6 upon the most impressive AEW woman. This should give the Women's World Champion plenty of fresh challenge in the coming months, assuming she can defeat Monet. The CEO consistently did well in her role, but the goal of her inclusion was selling her rising heat was that was obvious throughout, with memorable spots throughout. And yeah, this was brilliant stuff. Gets a 9 out of 10 from me. Excellent start to the show. We then got the Falls Count Anywhere match between Hangman Page and Powerhouse Hobbs, and they started this fight in the ring but quickly brawled outside. Their fight went into the crowd where the Cowboy sent Hobbs off the platform, through a table and into the electrical equipment. This pinfall to follow was academic. Afterwards, Shibata and Joe struck, trying to trap Hangman in a War Games cage. Instead, Kingston and Hook arrived to save him. Hangman then declared he would fight Joe in a steel cage at Full Gear. This was a fun brawl that sold the threat. Hobbs composed anyone while showing Hangman's the best. The finish allowed the Cowboy to eliminate Powerhouse from the equation, leaving Joe with just one ally going to Full Gear. Adding the steel cage stipulation should keep it a fair fight, but yeah, there's still some intriguing bits there. In their first match, Joe was always going to lose, but this time it feels less certain, and maybe if the Ops can recruit another member, who knows, but the uncertainty definitely makes it better. 7 out of 10. Next up, Tony Schiavone introduced Ricky Steamboat to the ring, who reflects on his history before FDR interrupted. Cash, Dax and Stokely teased Steamboat, then threatened to beat him down even after he was graciously leaving the ring. Bandido and Brody saved Steamboat and even let him have some classic chops at Dax, even with a 2.5 hour broadcast. This was running long, and how long the main event was certain to be. Steamboat has never been the best person. He was struggling down the stretch a bit with his lines. FDR pulled out the usual Legends disrespect to set up a Brodido arrival to make the save. Logically, it was odd for the champs to take so long. As further hype, this was solid, even if Steamboat's involvement didn't really feel necessary. And also, luck of Ric Flair there, despite the fact he was advertised. So yeah, fingers crossed everything's alright with him. It was then time for the men's blood and guts match. Early in this match, Mark was ruled out of the action due to a backstage attack from the Callis family. This allowed the Death Riders to dominate as the match began. However, Chicken refused to remain ruled out and arrived with weapons to turn the tide. Gay Kid arrived though to help take out Darby, seemingly spelling doom for the babyface team. Even with the Daredevil out of the picture though, the conglomeration took out the Death Riders and sealed the win when O'Reilly made Mox tap out to a Grave Pint ankle lock. While it went longer and had even more blood, the men's War Games match wasn't able to live up to the women's work. It was much better pace. It's rare that the blood and guts works well when the babyface had the advantage, but neither team had enough to sell the dynamic shifts with new additions to context. However, this match did turn in a major positive direction once everyone got involved in the action. The Mark injury delaying the full team fight revamped the drama by Kiddy unevening the odds once again when Chicken got into the mix. The end result was an excellent culmination of the last month where O'Reilly was the Mox's enemy. He simply was the best wrestler down the stretch and finally got to make the Death Rider tab out. The contest was the biggest star-making spotlight O'Reilly could ever have asked for, and he genuinely looks like he can defeat anyone coming out of this. On the other side, Mox again fails his team and shows he can't live up to it. While there was no time for aftermath, this is likely to be the final straw for Mox, and yeah, he's undoubtedly going to feel the wrath of the War Raiders, which is definitely going to be an interesting thing. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Overall, AEW Dynamite gets an 8 out of 10 for me. This was a fantastic episode of Dynamite. Blood and Guts, I think, for me, outshined what we've seen in previous years. Full Gear is definitely going to have a lot to look up to. As well as that, obviously, you also had the great match between Hangman and Hobbs. The only thing that maybe brought the show down from being a 9 or a 10 was probably that Steamboat segment.
Well, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.